When we talk about the Arab-Israel conflict, we need to look at the rise of nationalism during the late 19th century, when Jewish journalist Theodor Herzl came up with the idea of Zionism, defined as being the creation of a country for Jewish people. It is important to remember that it's a state for Jews, rather than a Jewish state, as well that not all Arabs are Muslim, with there being a large Christian community, and in 1917, the British government issued the Balfour Declaration, promising the establishment in Palestine of a national home for Jewish people, in the hopes to gain Jewish support in World War II. The problem is that Britain had already promised to divide the land with France the previous year, and they had also promised the land to Sharif Hussein, in 1915 as part of a proposed Arabic state, if he led an Arabic revolt against the Ottoman Empire. Once the war was over, Britain decided to establish a colony in Palestine under the promise that they would rule until the Palestinians were able to govern themselves. As part of their agreement with the Zionists, Britain divided Palestine into two equal regions as a way to facilitate Jewish immigration under suitable conditions. This was successful, and by the 1930s, the Jewish population increased by 30%. However, the land reserved for Jewish people were still owned by the Arabs, who were evicted from their homes. With rising tensions between the two groups, many Arabs started to call themselves the Palestinian nation. This rising tension led to clashes between the Palestinians, Zionists and British forces. And in 1948 Britain decided to hand over control to the newly formed United Nations, who decided to create a partition through the country, creating the two states of Palestine and Israel. This division caused the first Arab-Israeli wars, leading to the Israelis occupying a third more land than the UN agreed on. Over the course of years tensions grew further, and then in 1967 war would break out again between the Arabs and the Israelis. Though this conflict wasn't started by the Palestinians, by rather the hostility towards Israel by Egyptian President Gamal Abdel Nasser over the Palestine refugee crisis, as well with the blockade of the Straits of Tiran stopping the exportation of Israeli oil, lead to the destruction of the Egyptian Air Force and the simultaneous assault onto the Gaza Strip and the Sinai. The neighboring Arab states of Syria and Jordan joined the war, but were ultimately defeated by the Islamic Army. On day 6, the war ended with the Israeli forces occupying the Gaza Strip, Sinai Peninsula, the west bank of the Jordan River as well as the Golan Heights, and the immediate settlement of Jews and the evictions of the natives in these conquered land. According to international law, all these new settlements are illegal. However, Israel states that it's their right to occupy what they claim to be their holy land, and that it is their right as a nation to defend, expand its borders and stop repeated oppression that many Jews have faced. But with many of the Palestinians becoming refugees and with over 1 million Palestinian families living below the poverty line,